tracking feel the burn. That's like the main source of damage is going to be ignite. So making sure that you're rotating like your Fire Blast Pyro, and then you don't want to cast Phoenix Flames unless you have to, because you do lose that 2% mastery buff right now from the ashes. But you do want to make sure that you're using Phoenix Flames, like weaving Phoenix Flames, then Pyro in between Fire Blast Pyros when you start getting low on Fire Blast charges, because that makes keeping Feel the Burn up a lot easier. Another thing that I've noticed with my damage that's led to improvement is I've started paying a lot closer attention to pooling and using Pyroclasm procs. So like during main combustion, when you have an SKB proc coming up, if like assessing and deciding, okay, I know that Pyroclasm is going to last until I can use it to activate SKB, or I have to send it right now before I lose it. I think managing Pyroclasm procs better is something that's helped my damage a lot, especially outside of combustion, because it's kind of surprising how much damage Ignite does if you get a couple Pyros back to back without combustion, because this right here, Ignite does a little bit more damage outside of Bust. But really trying hard to make sure that, like, if I can use a Pyroclasm proc to activate SKB, I try to make that happen whenever I can. Another thing in keys that can really help is trying to make sure that you have an SKB proc, or you're close to an SKB proc going into every pull, right? So if you're coming up, say the pack is at like 30% and you're coming up on 6 stacks or like 5 stacks, if you don't think you can get that entire SKB proc out, what I will do sometimes is unless like something absolutely has to die, or is bolstering or something like that. But a lot of times what I'll do is I'll just start spamming Scorch in execute, because they're all crits. So it's okay damage. And then when I get to 6 SKB stacks, pulling a hot streak. And then right towards the end of the pull, when that last mob dies, casting Pyro. So I have 30 seconds on 7 stacks of SKB as we start running to the next pull. So that gives me, or like just trying to make sure that you refresh your SKB right before the last mob dies. So you have the most amount of time possible to make it to the next pull. And since we take Firestarter, if you go quickly, you can just quickly get a Fireball, Fire Blast out, and then not lose your SKB stacks. When it comes to the tier, what I've kind of found in the bit of testing, I don't have a lot of time, or as much time as I'd like these days, but in the testing I have done, I found that it kind of falls into a rhythm a little bit, but you have to make sure to like start with your Phoenix Flames to make sure that the buff's up so you can start accumulating. And the tricky part that I found is making sure you have an SKB, or not an SKB, a Phoenix Flames charge when you get the tier bonus, which, yeah, see, that dropped off. So the rotation is going to, yeah, see, now I have the buff. So I can kind of hold on to that free charge for a while, because it's a long thing. As that drops off, refresh. So I think that it's going to center around there. I feel like there's going to be a bit of a rhythm after the opener. It kind of feels like those empowered Phoenix Flames are going to be used like right before you roll into SKB or stuff like that. Like, let me show you the duration of the debuff, right? So I have an SKB proc. If I Phoenix Flames to get the debuff up, and Pyro and go. Notice how there was like 7.5 seconds. So it kind of seems like that's the rhythm that it's going to fall into a little bit, is, yeah. And basically 100% uptime. Mind you, right now I'm using Alexstrasza's and a 3rd charge. I don't know if 3 charges of Phoenix Flames is going to be the play. The Sims are going to kind of be the ones to decide that. But quality of life wise, 3 charges, because like I said, you have to have one charge in the bank in order to use the yeah, for the 100% crit. Mainly because, like, if you have to cast Phoenix Flames all the time anyways, I don't know, it really sets up for a lot more continuity. Plus, you want to be casting Phoenix Flames, which is counterintuitive to the mastery that you get from this. So, again, the sims will determine whether or not, but yeah, for the 100% crit. And I have no muscle memory for including Dragon's Breath in my rotation because I didn't play Fire Mage and Legion when the Dragon's Breath crit thing was a thing. But I'm sure the Dragon's Breath is going to be a part of at least the AoE rotation. But since it crits all the time and gives you a heating up, that will be a part of it as well. But like I said, I think the big thing, like opener with a pyro and that, and then you roll into, well, not in raid, but like in an AoE situation. And then I would try really hard. So what am I at? 7. Okay. Okay, see, that was an awkward situation. I lost Feel the Burn because I needed to get the Charred Embers buff back up. So there's somewhere in the rotation, I have to find a Phoenix Flames, like, to refresh it. Maybe right before I do Shifting Power. But, like, I think that's going to be a little bit of the annoyance with this, is there's going to be a little bit of a, I mean, it's not really a ramp, but too many buffs to track, I think is what I'm getting at.